Do you want to get started with Jotform Workflows and you don't know where to get started? Well, this is going to be the beginners to advanced tutorial for workflows. So if you need to start building, this is the tutorial for you. If you need to take your workflows to the next level, then this is also the tutorial for you. We're going to cover most of the features on this video. So follow me to my desktop right now. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is George and this is Jotform. We are going to get started with workflows. Now, I am currently located in my main workspace and I am able to view my forms, AI agents, apps, and much more, including workflows. So if you want to head on over to the workflows section, you can click on my workspace and go to my workflows. Now, there's several ways that we can get started with workflows. If you have a pre-built form that you want to get started with workflows from there, that is possible. And let me get started there. And then I'm going to go jump into templates and I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to be covering most of the features on workflows, so be a little bit patient. Okay, so let's just say that we want to use this simple job application form inside of workflows. So I've already built this form and I want to use it. I'm going to go into edit form. I'm going to go into settings, and in settings, we're going to go into workflows and we can create our workflow based on this form. So if you already have the form, you can kick off workflows straight from here. Now, the other way that you can do this is by getting started with a template. So inside of our workspace, we can go into create, go to workflow, and we can start from scratch, request approvals, automated integrations, or use a template. Now there's over 200 templates as of this video and more coming in the future. So if you find a workflow that fits your needs, this is a fantastic option to get started. So just go ahead and search here or go through the categories or find the workflow template that fits your needs. Now let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to go ahead and get started from scratch. The thing I want to do here is I'm going to build a super simple workflow to get started. That way you can get started as a beginner. Okay. So first thing you need to do if you don't start off from the form is connect the form that you want to use. So let's go into settings and I'm going to select the form that I want to use for this workflow. In this case, I'm going to use the simple job application form. You can select any form that you have available in your Jotform account. Okay. So this is where we're going to get started. And this is where the workflow is going to start. Think about workflows as a waterfall. So you know that waterfalls and then it splits and it stops somewhere and it continues some other place and it continues into a river. That's kind of like a workflow in this case. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to get started with a simple workflow to get started. So I'm going to drag in my first workflow element that's going to be found over here on the left. We got all our basic elements right here and the integrations tab, but we'll go through those in a bit. Okay, let's get started with the basic one. And I'm going to add the approval section here. This is where we are going to get started. So when someone fills out that form for a job, it's going to kick off this first approval. I'm going to select this element and I'm going to click on the settings. On the right, we have our first settings. Okay. So first off, we have the general settings where we have the outcomes. In the outcomes by default, we have approved and deny. From there, we can go ahead and split our waterfall for the workflow. Now, if I need a new outcome, I can just go ahead and click on new outcome and set what this could be. For example, a further examination, and that could be another outcome for this. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Next, we have the approvers who are going to approve this job application. In this case, this is me. You can go ahead and add the emails right here. Then you have your completion rules. So if you have several approvers, there's other options that can take this to the next level. Now you can make this require response from majority. So if you have 5, at least 3 have to approve in order to continue to the approved section of the workflow. Okay. Require response from all. So all of them have to respond, require response from one person, require a certain number of responses, and those are the options. Then we have the notification email. I can go ahead and edit the email right here. And that is going to be, for example, the email subject, or we want to add something unique so we can locate these emails that have to be for approval. We can also add variables from the fields from the form that was filled out. So if you want to add the full name from the person who filled this out, I can just go ahead and set that there. So I can say it needs approval and their name. Okay, just to give you an example. And we can also edit the email content to customize this. We can change the logos, the details. Maybe we don't need all the details in the email. I have the option to customize this right here. We got the sender, who is going to be the sender, and the advanced option. So I can send file uploads as attachment. So if the job application form has a PDF or something that's uploaded, an ID, a job application that is uploaded, I can attach those in the email too. attach PDF, attach a file, hide empty fields. So if they're not filled out, I don't need those details. So you can hide those there, and the sender email. So you have all those available options for the notifications, and require login for approval. So they need to log in order to approve. You can turn that off if you like, okay? Then we have the advanced options. I'll show you those in a bit. I want to build the simple workflow first so you can get started as a beginner, okay? So we have our first approver, and we need to decide what's going to happen if it's approved or denied. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to send an email if they're approved, and I'm going to send a different email if they are denied. So let's go ahead and add those here. Let's add the email. Let's add our next email and the end flow. So in this case, like I said, I'm going to keep it simple, and we need to finish it, all right? So here we go. Let's connect our first email. I'm going to click on this center blue dot here, and I'm going to connect it to my first email. I'm going to connect the other outcome over here into the secondary email. So one outcome is going to be for approved, and the other outcome is going to be for denied. So you can see it's like a waterfall. If we go to deny, that water is going to stop there. If we go to approve, that waterfall is going to continue through the approval section, okay? So this email is going to be sent out to the person who has been approved, and they're going to be notified that they have been approved. So I'm just going to keep it really simple. Email subject, I'm going to use a quick variable. So full name for, and I'm going to say the position applied. So they've approved name for the position, okay? So it's going to be really clear that this is an approval email, and I can edit all the content right here for the approval. Then we got the recipient. The recipient is going to be the email that was used in the form application. Then we got the advanced settings for this. We can add attachments, send PDFs, send the file as attachment if needed. So for example, if you have an onboarding PDF that you want to add right here, that is possible, and it's going to send it once it sends that approved email. So that is for the approved email. You can send the test email, and you can save this if we're good to go. If they are denied, we are going to send a denied email. So in this case, denied the job. We're going to keep it simple. It's the same process. It's just going to be a different email if they are denied. Once we are finished, we are going to connect this to the end. Here we go. Let's go ahead and connect this, and we are good to go. This is a super simple workflow. This is where you would get started. Now, there's a ton of elements that we're going to go through right now, and advanced options that we're also going to go through right now, okay? But before we do that, let's jump into the settings and go through the rest of this process. We can name our workflow, we can set the status, we can enable this or disable it if we don't want to use it anymore. And there's also a restart workflow on submission edit. You can enable this or disable it right here. Once we're good to go, we're going to go into publish, and we have the link that we can share. So if you want to share the workflow, you can do it through here. Invite via email, share via QR code, social media accounts, create an app based on the workflow. You can also embed this on a website. So you got the embed code for each one of the website technologies that you want to use. You got your platforms also for embedding, assign form if you want to assign this via a link, and email reminders and instant sharing. So that is for the basic workflow features. Now let's jump into more advanced options. So on the left, we have several available elements for different type of situations. So we already saw the email, we saw the approval. We can also set a task. So for example, before it jumps into this approval section, we can set a task before that continues. So let me go ahead and add the task right here really quickly. Here we go. I can set the task right here by clicking on complete settings. And in settings, I can set the title here to do a task before it goes into the approved, okay? So what can the task be? So for example, add the new approved employee into the database. So add employee to database. So that could be the title. You can set a description here. The outcome once it's complete. If you need to add a new outcome, just go ahead and add it right here. Who is going to be the assignee? Go ahead and set this up right here. And I'm going to add this person. I'm going to be the assignee. And then I need to customize the task. So this is going to open up a simple builder for the task. In this case, I'm going to add the fields that need to be responded. For example, I'm just going to do a single choice, and I'm going to say, have you added the new employee? The option is going to be yes and no, right? Then we have some property settings over here that you can set up. So you can make this required in order to be submitted, which would be a good idea in case you need to send over that task and be filled out, right? So we're just responding yes or no. We can modify the thank you page and the header over here. Let's go back into the workflow builder. So we need to connect this now. So we're going to jump it over here. The outcome needs to be approved. Once it's approved, we need to take care of this task, and then we are going to connect it and send over the email. Once it's completed, we are connected. That's one of the ways that you can continue the workflow. So you can see for the approve, we have more steps, and for the deny is just one step. Once it's denied from the first approver, it's an email that says you're denied. So you can see how that works, okay? Next, we have approve and sign. So this is a secondary step. So it's not just about saying, you know what, I approve. This one is about saying I approve, plus you need to sign. So let's go into settings, and in settings, you got your two outcomes. You can add a new outcome if needed. Then you can make required sign for. Only if it's approved, we need to sign. If not, we can just go ahead and send it over to the denied option. But if you want to add denied too, so that also needs to be signed off. So you need to make sure that the approver either approves or denies, but they need to sign it. Then we have who are going to be the signers, the completion rule for the signers, and we can edit the email right here. So that is for the approve and sign. Let's go back into elements. We have the signed document. So that's just a signature of a document. We can send a PDF. We have a team approval. So this is about a team approving and not just one approver. So let's go ahead and go into settings to show you what the difference is. So you can select a team here. So if you have team members in your Jotform workspace, you can set a team that you designate right here. So if you have several teams, maybe there's a marketing team, an accounting team, a storage, an inventory team, etc. And if that is of interest to that area, you can set it by team. So instead of being independent approvers, these are going to be set via a team, right? Then we have the flow report. You have a payment form. So if you want to set up a payment form here, in this case, it wouldn't apply, but it depends on your workflow if you want to add the payment form. Just go ahead and select the form for the payment form, just like you did for the first form for the job application in this case. Then we have webhooks. Webhooks can post or get the details in case you need to. So for example, after a particular piece of the flow needs to send out a webhook, that is possible by sending out a post, for example, and then it'll send the details to the webhook for a automation that you want to set up, okay? You can set that up by adding the link that you're gonna be provided from the webhook provider that you're going to use. So Zapier, Make, Pabbly Connect, N8N, etc., right? Then we have logic. We have if, else, conditional branch, and split branches. If, else, and conditional branch could seem similar, but they are not. Let me show you how they differ, okay? So I'm gonna add the if, else condition here, and I'm also going to add the conditional branch. So let's just hypothetically add the if, else condition right here. So let me go ahead and give a little bit of space here. Let me go ahead and remove this since it's just for testing purposes. We are going to connect the approve to the if else. I'm going to say yes. And the if else, we can add the condition right here. And I'm going to say, for example, if the position applied is equal to, for example, and remember, these are variables from the form elements, okay? So if they select marketing specialist, I'm going to save this. We have an if else condition. So if it's a marketing specialist, I can send it over to a secondary approver. Let me give you a quick example. Let me go ahead and add new approvers. Here we go. This is going to be the marketing approver. Here we go. And I'm going to connect it over here. So I'm going to select the branch. So we're going to say true and another approver if not. Okay. So we are just going to set this up right here with this if else condition to say that, for example, if this job is filled out for the marketing position, we are going to need a secondary approver, but that approver is the marketing boss. Okay, so he has to give that secondary thumbs up if it has to do with someone being assigned to his marketing team. So you get the idea. If it's false, then it's going to be sent over to a different approver in this case. So just to give you an idea how the if else condition can work. So it's just one or the other, okay? Let me go ahead and remove this. Here we go. I am now going to use conditional branch. Conditional branch works differently. So conditional branch can be set up with different conditions and each condition can branch off, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna name this and I'm gonna say marketing and I'm gonna say that this is gonna be, for example, if the position is equal to, and in this case, marketing specialist, I'm gonna say this. So we've added the first condition. I can add more conditions. In this case, I'm going to add a second one to show you how it works. And this one is going to be for, let me see what the other position is for, is equal to, and I'm going to say sales. So in this case, sales area. Here we go. Let's go ahead and save this. Now we have two conditional options here. So I can branch from each one of these conditions and I can add more conditions. So it's different from if else. The other one was true or false. In this case, we have a condition for each one of these. So let's go ahead and save this and we can now branch off this. So first branch is going to be, for example, for marketing. The second one is going to be for the sales area. So this could be named, for example, the sales approver. Now, in this case, we can set different emails for each one of these people who are going to approve. In this case, it's the same name because this is just for testing purposes. So conditional logic lets you branch off based on different conditions. And you can go ahead and continue from here, okay? And again, from each one of these approvers, you have the approved and denied. So for example, if this is denied, so for example, if this is denied, we're gonna send it to the denial email. Same thing goes for this one. And this one is gonna be sending off the approved email. So you get an idea of how this works, just to give you an idea. So we need to set this off. That is for denied. This one is also for denied. And this one is for the approved. And we are now complete, okay? So that is for the if else condition and conditional branch. There's a split branch option. So split branch option, what it can do is that two flows can continue. That means that in this case, if you have a waterfall and the waterfall hits somewhere, it stops there and the other water keeps on flowing. In this case, both will flow at the same time for different situations and different purposes. So instead of just stopping by approved or denied, we can go ahead and continue two flows when the form is filled out, for example. And it's just an idea of how this can work. So you can send out to different approvers, different webhooks, and the second split to the webhook. And it's just an idea of how you can use this. Then you have your pause option. That means that, for example, when someone fills this out, we can set a pause wherever you want. In this case, I'm just giving you an idea here where we can add this. So I can set the pause here, we can add it here and here. So now in between this, there is a pause. So it's not going to be automatically sent off. It's going to be paused for an hour and then it's going to continue to be sent over to the flow. In this case, I can go ahead and go into the settings. I can pause the duration right here, hours, days, weeks, months, or years, or pause until date. So you have options available here. And you can also require comments for this if needed. So you have those available settings for the flow right here. Now in the approval, there's an advanced option. Let's go into the advanced tab right here. And we have the option to make this require comments. So prevent tasks from being completed. If the comment section is empty, you can reassign this. So allow assignees to reassign. So let's just say, you know what? I received it, but it's not my area. Something went wrong there. I'm going to assign this to someone else. So you can reassign, request more information if needed. You can do escalation, expiration for this. So if you want to make this expired, let's just say that no one takes care of this in a month, well, automatically expire this. Don't continue open the workflow for that job application. So I can set the expiration here. You have the automatically finish the task and you have send reminder emails. So if you need to remind them, hey, you know what? You need to take care of this. You need to approve or deny. You can remind after X amount of days, weeks, or month right here. So it's super easy to set all of this up right here. Now that is for the basic elements. In elements, there's a tab that says integrations. You can integrate with external applications straight from here in the workflow if needed. Quick examples. I'm going to add a Google Drive here. Why? Because let's just say that I want to have a backup of the form that's being filled out in case they are approved. If they are denied, I don't need to back it up. So I can add this right here. So let's go ahead and remove this here. And we are going to connect to the Google Drive. And from Google Drive, we're going to connect to the end. Here we go. Let's go into complete settings. I am going to connect and I can send out a PDF of the form that's filled out and who was approved straight from here by making the connection. So once I connect, I'll authenticate right here. What do you want to send over? So set a folder name for that particular storage that you're going to set up. Create a subfolder for each submission. So you can set a subfolder and set how that is going to be named. So in the main folder, you'll have several folders and you can set these folder names as their full name and form ID, for example, just to give you an idea how you can use this. Then you have send submission PDF to Google Drive. In this case, yes, you want to send it over. send upload fields to Google Drive. So if you have uploaded IDs, documents, etc., those are going to be added right here by connecting to Google Drive. That is one of the ways that you can connect and send over via an integration. And that's one of the ways that I'm showing you how to use the integrations. Another option could be, for example, I use ClickUp. So for example, if you want to create a task based on this, it is possible. So again, you can connect to ClickUp and you have several actions. You can create a brand new task inside of ClickUp. For example, we can create a task because in that task, they need to do several steps with that new employee, like add them to the insurance, make sure that you have their tax ID, etc. And it's a way that you can create a brand new task using integrations. You can create a subtask and you can create a comment based on this integration here. Now, each one of these integrations will have different type of settings that you need to set up. So for example, if this is going to be Soho CRM, maybe you can send out the form applicant to your CRM in case you later want to add them to a marketing campaign, sending them emails. You can do so with the integration right here. So it depends what integration you add is the implementations that you can set up right here. Now you can see how this is a super easy workflow builder, that there is no coding required, no developer skills needed at all. And you can start right now an approval system here in Jotform. So you can see this video that is super easy. Even the advanced options are super easy to set up. So I don't know what you're waiting to get started. Sign up right now for Jotform and kick off your workflows right away. Please let me know here in the comments what you think about workflows and what you would like to see in the future. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification to get notified when new videos come out. And that is a wrap.